everyone doing? You guys hear me okay? Good. You guys saw the safety video, yeah? Okay, cool. There's passenger briefing cards too in these pockets around the aircraft. You can look at those if you want, but most importantly, that's where the Aloha bags are located, just in case. Know where those are. There's pens and pads of paper in there too. If you want to ask me something, you can use those. Usually I could hear you if you just talk loud enough, but if you'd rather write it down, that's fine too. I will be with air traffic control though for a little bit. They don't let us talk to you guys and control their space anymore, but that'll just be a few minutes and then we'll be out there on our own where we like to be. So until then, you guys just enjoy the ride. How's everyone doing so far? Good. Well, we got good weather for a flight out to Molokai. We're going to go check out some of the West Maui mountains before we head out to Molokai. They call all this in front of us the West Maui Mountains because it looks like a mountain range when you look at it. But it's a volcano, just like Haleakala. It's just a lot older, about 1 million years older, so that's more time for rain to wash out the valleys. Valleys and canyons, they're kind of like us. We get older, we get wrinkles, so do volcanoes. They're valleys and canyons. See lots of valleys and canyons, got extinct volcanoes. This is the Waihe'e Valley in front of us that we're going to take a look at. It's the wettest valley on the island. It's 300 inches of annual rainfall on the way back to the valley. And you can't really hike into the valley, but you can hike this ridgeline off our right side. It's called the Waihe'e Ridge Trail. About 1,000-foot climb in 2 miles. They hike like right along the edge of this cliff that's off our right side as we head into the valley. Rivers down here in these valleys stay full year-round because we get a lot of annual rainfall, hundreds of inches. All that annual rainfall, it's got to go somewhere, so it'll seep underground into these underground aquifers, like these underground lakes form, and they leak and create springs. So if you look closely at some of the waterfalls, you'll see the water just flowing right off the side of it. So big lakes in Hawaii, just can't see them because they're below the surface or behind the cliffs. A lot of these valleys over here in West Maui get flooded out when we get heavier rain showers. That's really the main reason you can't hike through very many of the valleys in Maui. And in the big rivers, it'll wash out any trail or road or anything else down there. The I'a Valley is the only exception to that. There's some nice coastal trails you can take along the Kahakili Highland. You'll see that as we drop down here by the water. We'll check out some of the sea cliffs on the north shore. You'll see this coastline kind of transition as we come offshore too. Like off our right side, we have sandy beaches near Kahului, and the waves break way offshore because the water is shallow. Anytime the water is shallow, the sunlight can get down to the bottom of the ocean and grow coral. Coral will eventually break down, turn into sand. Off our left, it's the opposite. Off our left, the water is real deep. When the ocean's deep, the ocean will eat away at the island, create little caves. Caves eventually cave in. Big sections of cliff will fall off into the sea. It all depends on your water depth. That's what shapes the coastline. Then over here in the sunlight off our left side is Kahakaloa Rock. It's that tallest point on the North Shore. It's a real famous landmark to the Hawaiians for the King Kahakili. King Kahakili was this famous king in the mid-1700s who would supposedly jump off of this rock up here into the water to try to prove his immortality. This king was trying to prove he was invincible because he wanted to conquer other islands, take over more territories. Kings in Hawaii, if there's ever a war, they'd have to lead the charge. So he'd argue if he couldn't be killed, they couldn't lose. They'd have a 100% chance of victory. So he'd jump off the rock to prove it. They took over Molokai, Lanai, and Oahu after that, controlled the whole center of the island chain. It's Maui's most famous king. You can see the highway goes right by that big rock. That's why they call this the King Kahakili Highway, named after the cliff diver. But it's more of a coastal highway. It's cool. You can hike down to these tide pools that are down here off our right side. There's sea cliffs you can hike alongside, blowholes you can find too to explore a little bit. Today is like a perfect day. It's not too windy. It's a nice day to check out this highway. Portions of it's closed. You got to come down from the west side right now if they're doing construction. So if you get an early start, you can spend a lot of time exploring out along this highway. Here off our left side, these are all old pineapple plantations you'll see on these plateaus. There's a golf course down there called the Kapalua Plantation Course. Agriculture is really on the decline still there. They're giving up on. We're going to leave Maui now. We're going to go across the Pailolo Channel, head out to Molokai. We got about 10 miles of water between the two islands, so it'll take us less than 5 minutes to get across that channel. Get closer to Molokai, you guys are going to see a sparsely populated island out there. Not too many people live on Molokai. They only have 7,000 residents. On Maui, we get 150,000 residents, and there's more visitors than residents year-round. And it's no accident. They just have a lot of restrictions on the development of the land. They're trying to keep the island more locally owned. On Maui, all the hotels and resorts are owned by off-island companies from around the world. Most of the revenue disappears from Molokai. What they do have, they keep local. They got bed and breakfasts, smaller hotels, more like old Hawaii. Just in front of Molokai, too, you'll see Turtle Rock. That's the little rock island that sits in front of the island of Molokai. It looks like a sea turtle from the side. That's why they call it Turtle Rock. But it's a famous scuba diving site for hammerhead sharks. People take small boats across this channel to go swim with the sharks. And that's not the natural shape of that rock island. That was used by the military back in World War II for target practice. It's been blown up a few times now. It's like a sea turtle. Down below us, this is all part of one big cattle ranch called Murphy's Ranch. Most people don't think of cowboys and cattle ranches when they think of Hawaii. There's a lot of them out here because we get year-round rain and warm temperatures, and grass grows like crazy. It's like free food for the cows. These cattle ranches are always on the windward side, though, away from the hotel, so a lot of people don't realize it, but the Paniolo, the Hawaiian cowboy, is a big part of the Hawaiian local culture. There's rodeos on all the islands. Lots of places to go on like trail rides and horseback riding. We're going to cross over the Halava Valley. You'll see a few smaller waterfalls off our left side as we cross the valley, and you'll see Halava Bay off of our right side. That's the end of the coastal highway in Molokai, so you can't drive around this island. You got the world's tallest sea cliffs on the north shore. It's impassable by car. We'll see the world's tallest sea cliffs on the north shore. Molokai is one of the smaller islands, but we got a massive earthquake, they think, a long time ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago. And it dropped a third of the island off into the ocean. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. But whatever caused it, we got big cliffs. This will be a 2,000-foot drop-off here in front of us. In front of us is Papalo'ua Falls. This is a 1,400-foot waterfall up here. That's the size of the Empire State Building, this waterfall. So we'll come in here and do a little turn by the shoreline so you can get a picture of the whole waterfall in one shot, and then we'll come in for a close-up in a minute. Here off our left side we have the big Wailau Valley. There's several people that live in this valley off our left. There's no electricity or roads or anything. Only way in and out of this valley is by boat or helicopter, and the people that live there don't have either one. Every once in a while they'll get some supplies brought out to them, but for the most part hunting, farming, and fishing. If you look further down the coast, just past those little rock islands, you'll see there's a peninsula out there where the land stretches out into the ocean. That's where the old leprosy colony was in the past. Leprosy used to be criminalized in Hawaii. If you had leprosy on any of the islands, you'd be taken from your family and quarantined out there. It's like a jail. And there's no harbor or anything. They'd park the boats next to that last little rock island, kick them off. They'd have to swim the shore with leprosy. But then missionaries did eventually come out and build missions and help the people of Kalapapa. Father Damien is real famous in Hawaii because he lived and died with the people in St. Damien now. And of course they did find a cure for leprosy eventually. So now that whole peninsula in front of us is a historic national park and a rainforest preserve that goes up into the mountains. We've come a long way. And off our left side, this is where the sea cliffs are their tallest point, 3,000 foot tall cliffs, tallest cliffs on the planet. Next valley is the Pelekunu Valley. There's all rainforest preserve in this valley. It's got a nice river down the center of the valley, and it's some of the most pristine native forest left in Hawaii. So come back here and take a look at the Pelekunu Valley. side of this ridgeline is like the old crater of the volcano. This is the Kamakaua volcano we've been flying around. Millions of years ago, this was the center. All that time of rain and erosions washed out all the lava rock, replaced it with rainforest. This is what your volcanic craters look like eventually. You turn into these big valleys full of trees. If you're not really into trees and plants, all the trees kind of look the same, but this is what naturally grows throughout Hawaii. These are ohia lehua trees along the canyon walls. There's 7 different varieties of Hawaiian ferns too. Some of these Hawaiian ferns will grow like ground cover, grow just along the floor of the rainforest. Some of the ferns that will grow like trees, maybe like 20 feet tall. If you look down into the bottom of the valley, you'll see a lot of kukui nut trees too. The kukui nut tree is the state tree of Hawaii. Those are the ones that look like cauliflower from here. It's like the tree, like almost like the white leaf. As far as the wildlife goes, though, it's almost non-native species. You have wild boar, deer, mountain goats, mongoose, that kind of thing. Things people have introduced to the island have kind of taken over. Couple miles, if you look along these sea cliffs, you're going to notice there's less vegetation along these cliffs. That exposes all these layers of rock, all those horizontal layers of rock, all those horizontal lines. Those are the old lava flows that built this volcano up in the past. It's like a timeline of all the old eruptions. So it's kind of like a tree in a way. You cut open a tree, you get a ring for each year. Cut open a volcano, you get a layer of rock for each eruption. This goes another 18,000 feet deep below sea level before you get to your first lava flow. It started it all. So it took a long time. It took a lot of eruptions to create this one island. We have 132 islands made this way. Look down towards that coastline, you'll see the waves kind of breaking further and further from the coast. That's the start of the largest coral reef in all of Hawaii. In some areas down there, you could walk like a mile offshore. There'll only be 1 to 2 feet deep out there at the edge of the reef where the waves are breaking. You'll see Hawaiian fish ponds too if you look closely. You'll see these half circles. Hawaiians, they'd stack rock out on the reef, encompass these circles, and leave little gaps in the rock wall. So small fish could squeeze through and they'd eat the algae and the moss going in the ponds. And when they got big, they couldn't get back out. It'd be like a trap. Worked so good they built 73 in total. It's an ancient form of aquaculture. we're going to leave Molokai now. We'll go fly around the leeward side of Maui on the way back. Give you something new to look at. Right now we can see all of Maui County. Got Maui in front of us, Molokai behind us. Lanai is the island off our right side, and then that's Kaho'olawe out there about our 1 o'clock position. And between these islands, this water is relatively shallow too. Most of this water below us is less than 1,000 feet deep. So geologists say that's a sign this is a sunken island. They think Maui was the size of the big island a long time ago, but over time the island sunk, water filled up the lower lying area, and this is what we got now. But it's all who you ask. Hawaiians have a creation myth about this, and they say the opposite. They say instead that none of these islands are here to start, and then this kid was fishing with a magic fishing line, caught the island of Maui, and was pulling it up when the line broke and left the island partially submerged. So geologists say Maui sunk, Hawaiians say Maui came out all the way. So either way, it's up to you guys. So. We get closer to Maui, you're seeing Ka'anapali in front of us. Got all these hotels and resorts, and they keep building more, but it used to all be agriculture. That started out as sugarcane way up into the mountains, and it was pineapples, but now all they grow is coffee. There about our 10 o'clock position, you can see the West Maui coffee plantation, about 400 acres of coffee up there. And then along this coastline, you'll see all these white sandy beaches, and then there's this big black rock that kind of separates the beaches, and that's the Sheraton Hotel they built on the black rock. And that black rock was a sacred landmark to the Hawaiians. Hawaiian people are very spiritual. They believe in an afterlife, and they believed if you died on the island of Maui, your spirit would have to travel through a gateway to the afterlife. That rock was the gateway. So a lot of Hawaiians were a little upset when they built a hotel on their sacred rock. But many say the spirits don't care. They still travel through the black rock. They just got to go through the hotel, too. So there's all kinds of funny stories about the Sheraton. And then behind us, the water's kind of rough, but in front of us, it's all calm and glassy. That's the Ao channel. Water stays calm over here. The Pailolo channel between Maui and Molokai will get real rough because it's a big wind tunnel effect between the two islands. But out here, the water stays calm. So now there's jet skis, tour boats, and fishing boats, and parasailers, but in the past, this is where all the trade ships and whaling ships came. So that's why Lahaina, the town in front of us, was the first capital city of all of Hawaii. So back in the 1800s, these trade ships and whaling ships that came to Hawaii, they weren't really known for having the classiest of people on board. There's all kinds of disease and crazy stuff going on here in town. So missionaries came out here in 1831. They built all these schools up on the Malca side of town, up on the mountain. Made them public boarding schools, and it gave the kids a place to live and get medical attention. The kids would maintain the campus in return. And it's never changed since 1831. It's the only public boarding school left in Hawaii. The kids that live here work 20 hours a week to maintain the school. And that's why the L is up on the mountain. That's L for Lahaina. The seniors go up there and chalk out the L in line, put the class number on the bottom. But we're going to leave the populated areas now. We're going to head up into the rainforest, check out some of these valleys. You need a helicopter to see. The front of the valleys will only get about 10 inches of rainfall. The back of the valleys will get over 100 inches of rainfall. So they're like half desert, half rainforest. This here is like the center of the West Maui volcano. Rain and erosion's washed out this old crater into 5 different valleys. There's the Laniapoko Valley that we're leaving now. The Olovalu Valley is the next one off our right side. And the Iao Valley is the one to remember. It's just past this next ridge line. And it's the only one that you can go visit. There's a little parking area you'll see in the front of the valley and some hiking trails. Hike upstream a little ways. But this next valley, this Iao Valley, is a historic valley due to the Hawaiians. This is where the last battle between the Hawaiians for this island took place. Back in 1793, King Kamehameha invaded Maui. He came from the Big Island. He invaded Maui twice. The first time he was unsuccessful. The second time he came back with 1,600 soldiers and mercenaries from Europe operating guns and cannons, and the war started in Kahului and ended in the back of this valley, and they say it was so brutal that the river turned red with blood afterwards. That's why they call it the Wailuku River. It means destructive waters in Hawaii. But that was a long time ago. Water's nice and clean now. They have a river and some trails down there. You can hike upstream, find some pools of water. But that's the Iao Valley, historic valley. Biggest valley on the island, too. We'll finish those little turns so you guys on the right can get a good view of the rest of the valley, and then we'll head over to the Ukumehame Valley. It'll be the last valley we fly through in West Maui. The Ukumehame Valley, half of it looks like the Grand Canyon, half of it looks like a Hawaiian rainforest because of the two different climate zones. You'll see we'll drop into that valley just on the other side of that far ridgeline. Come out of the valley, you'll see the pali. They call it pali means hillside or ridgeline in Hawaiian. So technically, there's a lot of palis. But on Maui, if someone says they're going around the pali, they're kind of referring to this part of the island. There's a hiking trail up here. It's about a 1,600-foot climb in 3 miles. But you get good views of the sunset when the sun goes down over the channels. On the other side of these windmills is that controlled airspace, so I'll have to be with air traffic control until we land. Before we do land, though, I do want to thank you guys for coming out and flying with me. I don't get to go flying without you guys. They don't let me out by myself. So thanks for getting in here so we can all get up in the air. And then once we land, just wait tight, sit tight, wait for the girls. I'll help you out. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for flying with me. Thanks again, guys, for coming out and flying with me. Just sit tight. They'll be right over for you in just a second. You guys can take off your headsets